And this learning is categorized. It's structured purposefully in a way that it'll impart some deep stuff, and out of the it's concepts which is not taught to us, which is not coming to us from work or from anywhere, unless and until you get dived into personal development, where you will see all these concepts coming in. But it is an advantage for you all, and for me too, having learned all that and putting in a structured format also gives me a lot of leeway for me to implement quickly and then get my results fast. Similarly, for you learning from here, it is impossible for anybody to learn everything there on the Google unless and until it is presented to you in a structured format. It is not going to help anybody to apply and get results. So this is happening here in the 90 minutes format, and it's going to happen consistently unless there is an emergency. We'll let you know. And totally, if you see 78 hours in a year, that's what is calculated, but then it will keep going as long as you're interested. And I will make the recordings available. I think that's one on-demand request from all moms. I'm preparing an LMS where you can access all that for a minimal cost. The recordings will be there for lifetime, also with some other goodies that I'm planning up. So where you can have a consultation on 2 subjects. One is, basically the mom, the journey from being a super mom to a cool mompreneur. So, being a mom to mompreneur, the transition, how you can develop something on your own. But then for you to become as an individual level, you need to be very strong at 2 important subjects, right? So one is parenting, another one is self-care. If you're good, have hands-on skills at these 2, then you can eventually look at some other opportunity to earn money, to contribute more to your family, to have a more freedom of time, more vacations, more quality time with your family. And the reason why we have 2 subjects here is it's pretty important that you figure out what is working for you as a mother. You figure out those areas are taken care, so you have a better relationship, quality time, and then you will find, productivity skills is basically to have enough time for you, get the time freedom. And then we will step on to using EQ skills, how we can build our relationship better, which is relationship within yourself and with others is also equally important. That's where we will talk about self-care and also languages that you have to talk with your children or with your spouse or with your friends or with your customer, so you can have a better relationship. And then the next series, we will see how to increase your money quotient. Well, I won't be able to go in depth in any of these concepts in a span of 90 minutes. We also had some technical inches out of the blue today, which is part of the game. So we need to give in for all those environmental hitches, and then we'll see how much we can capitalize in this one full hour of togetherness. But then when you get into the it's better that we conduct all these programs and the coaching or the learning in a private community where, of course, there will be a cost to it because we have to bring in systems to it, and then the platform that we are trying to interact and the effort and man hours put in from each of us, right? So especially when I have to render all these things in a capsulized format or effectively reaching out to you, it definitely demands a cost to it. So there will be a part of cost, and then we will have add-on goodies to it where we can add bonuses as part of your the model that you want to get in, that or relatively useful for moms and relevant to what your goals are. So that is the whole structure, which I will be explaining to you each and every week as we go by. I'm spearheading. I'm so excited to bring in a lot of fresh ideas. Stick on with it. Stay with me. Keep sharing your feedback, your experiences. That will definitely motivate me. And then what best you're getting from this platform is also peer learning. You'll find like-minded people jumping in. Sometimes even from India, we work on different time zones to match different people from different countries. At the best, we will find a common time where we can have pull in people. This is a community which is gradually growing, so it takes time. But then from your side, if you can just talk to one person, whomever you contact, if she's a mom, she's having similar problems like you, or even if she wants to start something on her own, I'll be introducing the entrepreneurial aspect slowly. So you might want to bring in any of your friends each week. That will be a great effort that you want to contribute for this group. As you learn, you also helping other people to learn and grow. Okay. And 3 steps that we are going to stick on to the format is first is getting an informed insights. Insights comes from an experience from inside, so it can never be false. So people share their experience, insights, and what I have, and then what is Google standards are saying, what are the successful people, what are their patterns, and what is their life experience, how are they, what are the skills that they are imparting, they are implementing in their life, which is making them successful. All these things will be structured, will be structured and given to you in a platter. All you have to do is take it in the 90 minutes format and implement it to know your results. Well, how can you make use of this is to participate, learn and reflect, apply this, improve, and then make use of this either for your career or you're getting ready for any career or entrepreneurial adventures. Okay. It's a great start for you because sitting at home at the comfort of your home, especially when it is offered free of cost, I would, as a person, I would grab it, right? Because it doesn't happen. It happens very rare. And when it is done in a community like this, it is important to make use of this, show up every day, every time, and also cultivate great habits. Because when you learn there is a particular philosophy out there working for some successful people, they've already implemented that. It's easy for us to adapt it and then see whether it's applying, working for us or not. And then slowly you build consistency by appearing for every week. I am assuring myself I'm committed to make my presence for every Saturday, every other Saturday, especially when there is no emergency and when I'm not there out for my family times. Rest of the times I'm available for this learning hours. Make use of this platform, make use of me, make use of these learnings. I am committing myself to hit the recording button. The recording hopefully will be available very soon. However, the live experience is really different. So you should come and experience this. So you will see how many people show up and how many people really taking an effort. And when they take an effort, definitely something goes in their mind. But if it's a recording given to you on a platter, I have a repository of recordings from 4 years now. Okay. When I look at the drive for me to declutter, I see a lot of recordings still sitting there. So I had to literally attending live, taking notes, making sure I'm implementing so that it stays here, not in the recording. It is never going to be seen at all. So build that consistency, build your confidence, develop this learning culture and grow. What transformation can you get out of this is because you can develop the character and know your strength. If there is any assessment given to you, or if there is a call that we are discussing about some new concepts that you may want to think, okay, am I doing this? Am I really doing this? Or am I not looking at that aspect at all yet? What am I supposed to do? Thereby you attending these calls, you are cultivating that habit of learning into you every week. So you're becoming a lifelong learner. By you're putting that unconscious button on so that certain patterns gets hardwired in you, which is actually supporting you in your journey. Okay, this is one such practice. You attending this call is one such practice. Learning the right stuff from right person is also equally important, because we as a mom, it is very important to have the right kind of the time freedom with us. We will not be able to afford to waste our time, so might as well use that time effectively. Save time, money and efforts. Be a smart mom, because it's not possible for us to, first of all, look at those courses, seek for those courses, and then spend money, efforts. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of thinking for us. We will eventually drop doing that. Instead, just grab this opportunity, drop in, jump in, show up. Something will seep into it. Okay. All right. So code of honor, just to quick recap, show up. That is more important. On time, participate, reflect what has been told here, do a self-reflection or also a group reflection, or maybe with your spouse, if you can just talk something about what you learned today. You never know that it could be a learning for them also. You could be an inspiration for them. Or when you're casually talking to another mom friend of yours, you may want to help them out, saying, what, are you struggling with time? Are you struggling with juggling a lot of activities? You're not able to, you're feeling burnout because you're not able to focus. You know what? Try this out. Try monastic model of deep focus, or try doing the rhythmic model, right? Or ask them what kind of time management personality are they, and would they want to change? If they're not part of this call, bring them in, or at least give your learnings to them as a spark of inspiration for them. Okay, that's how you pay forward to anybody around you. And most importantly, do a self-reflection. That will be the first pay forward that you are doing for yourself. And as a community, I would request you to go back and message in the group your one takeaway or two takeaways, and then pay some gratitude. If you see me, I practice gratitude in each and every dimension, each and every maximum possible in each and every transactions. And I do 2 times of gratitude journaling. If I'm not able to journal, I take a notepad on my phone, or at least tell my gratitudes 2 times in a day. One is after waking up, and another one is during the night. So this has been a practice. And now every transaction that I do, I try to see how I pay my gratitude in my own little way. And one way that you can pay forward is go back to the group after this call and write few lines about the call and the experiences that you had. That will definitely inspire a lot of people. Now, we started looking about when in terms of creating an awareness, we started seeing what is the actual definition of the particular topic that we are talking, and then what is the definition for yourself, and what's the definition given in the Google, and what's the definition given by people who have experienced this journey, like successful people. We kind of brainstorm in all those ideas and take the right kind of definition that you want to set in for future. And how do we measure each of the, when we're talking about time management, how do we measure, what is the current status of us? When we talk about the focus level, how do we measure what kind of focus level are we into? And what is the focus level that you desire to be in, right? That happens when we start, going deep into that particular topic. But then we also saw advantages and disadvantages of not having this. For example, if it's time management, we spoke about what is it in for me? Like, what advantages can I have as a mom? Or if I'm going to be an aspirant entrepreneur, what advantages will I have if I have a right kind of time management skills? If I have that deep focus, what is the advantage for me? And how can I be contributing to my family with that kind of an advantage? What could be the disadvantage if I don't have? What is the outcome of it? Suppose I don't have that awareness at all, or I don't exhibit the time management skills, the productivity skills in my daily transactions. What is the cost of it? Where are the affected areas? So that is kind of awareness that the right kind of awareness that you're building in. And then we also saw some addictions, like for each and every topic, our old patterns are so hardwired, we are not able to break it and move to the new change, because every change, every learning needs a the rewiring of your old patterns. That's what we call it as changing your operating system. Operating system is basically any computer has, for example, if I give you a Windows operating system of, okay, I'm just going to admit a person here. And I'm saying a hi to Deepak. Okay. All right. So suppose you're operating in an old operating system of, let's say, before 90s. How would you feel if I give you that same Windows, computers today and ask you to work on it? Would you not feel it is going in a slow motion, and would you not feel, frustrated? So that's exactly what happens with your brain. And you're trying to infuse something new learning according to the millennial era, and then according to the post-pandemic effect of social media. Suddenly you get bizarred out, and then you feel, overwhelmed. As in every day, it starts adding up to your, quota, and then one day it's definitely going to explode, and you will feel the burnout inside you. Hello, hi, Deepa, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Fine, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm just listening. Yeah.
Excellent. So this is your first time with some recap about what we did in the previous episodes. What we discussed is how did we all go about each and every topic is first giving them the right kind of awareness, and then telling them, okay, now that you know your exact, for example, if it's a productivity, you should know where you stand in terms of your definition. We just discussed about what is productivity for you, and where do you stand, and how do you measure your own productivity level? Is it because you measure with your satisfaction level, or your output, or outcome? For example, your results, or creating some great knowledge to you, or some innovation in you, or happiness, or has it reduced some money? Whatever you've been doing earlier, has it reduced your time, or has it been cost effective for you, and has it been helping you in saving your brain power? You're not too worried about doing a particular task because you are already really productive about it. Or is it making you competent that people can learn from you? You become a proficient in that I can teach somebody. You don't have to necessarily teach in Zoom, but then you can always share it with your friends. You know what, I did this already, don't do this mistake, I've already burnt my fingers and I'm really good at it. I might as well want to share with you. So that is productivity for you. Okay. And then we discussed about real-time productivity models. I know when you go there, it is all available in YouTube and Google, but then when it is presented to you in this structured format, it is easy in a simplified sharing that we do as a mom, because I'm a mom myself. Although I'm an entrepreneur, I have to make sure that mom role is taken care effectively. Only then I'll be able to concentrate here, because business is nothing but you. You are the business, and if you're not able to take care of your own self in terms of managing your time, managing your stress, managing your relationship, it's definitely going to exhibit in your entrepreneurship, whatever venture you are into. Okay. And then what mistakes are we doing? I was just talking about operating systems. Suppose you're filled with the operating system of you're filled with the patterns which has been given to you. Of course, we all have been influenced by our family, brought up, our childhood influences, our school, our education, our friends, associations that we are into, or current social media distractions, or any distractions that you want to take. Distraction itself is a big topic that we will be discussing under productivity. So all these influences your patterns, your habits, and then the more you are habitual to it, you're going to form a hardwired pattern which is going to be very stubborn for you to rewire it. Although you're giving your brain a new learning by attending these calls, but unless you apply that consistently, you'll not be able to rewire any of your old patterns. Unless you change your old patterns, your changes will not appear. The transformation will not be visible for you at all. You may feel, okay, I'm just in the same zone, I might as well go back to the zero mode. So it is very important to be aware of it. Now, what are the skills that we discussed in order to become productive? The first thing that we saw was time management. We saw what are the models in terms of awareness, and then skills. What is the advantage and disadvantages of me having a time management skills? What are the general myth, personality types, and skills, how to master them? And then we also saw some quick, hacks. These hacks are listed down. Of course, I've taken input from internet, I follow a few successful people. I take input from them. I just have to model them. If it's working for somebody, I might as well want to model it and see whether it's working for me or not, instead of me trying out something new and wasting my time and energy, right? That's being smart. So those hacks we discussed. And then we went on to the next best skill for you to become productive is to maintain that level of deep focus and concentration. I'm telling you, cultivating ability to focus and concentration is a dream for any adult. Even for kids anyway, we have been telling them, we have been asking, this is a greatest desire for us, for them to have a focus. But then have you tried deep focus? Then you will know the pinch of it, right? We have been doing this in our childhood, but then there is always a compulsive disorder on trying to be focusing, because we've not been told the importance of it, right? We have not been told, hey, you know what, if you do this, it's definitely going to give us the results. That kind of a motivation was never been there for, at least for the 80s and 90s. But now it is quite essential for the kids of 2000 and above to be competitive. Unless they are able to have the deep focus, they will not be able to be competitive in the world at all. But paradox is, it is not possible for them to have a deep focus. That's what research says. Because any kind of one distraction, for example, if there is a notification coming to my phone when I'm working, by research, it says it is taking 25 minutes for you to go back to the focus mode. Imagine in a day, how much are we losing time? Just by one trigger, one notification from your social media, it's going to take you back half an hour. And for each and every notification, I mean, the distractions need not be only on the phone. It could be through your family, child or spouse or anything. Forget about the firefighting modes where there is any emergency, any urgency, that you need to attend to it. But it is not there. It is a usual day. Even though it's a casual day for you, but you still get distracted. That is a sin. That is something that we are doing sin to our own body, because that's going to affect us in many ways. There are certain outcomes that we are building, the FOMO. Psychologically, we are building a lot of, sickness to ourselves by looking at others and then creating an envy and jealous and all that. But apart from that, you're also telling your brain, you know what, I'm so having pleasure in distractions, I might as well want to go there. I don't want to come back to the focus level. And it is going to reflect in, even if it's a kitchen work, you're not focused, because we're always doing multiple tasking. And then we always feel burnout, exhaustive during the end of the day. It is only because we don't have the deep focus. And now, in the previous episodes when we were discussing, we discussed a lot of beliefs and disbelief. Why should I have a deep focus? Why can't I take it casually? Yes. But if you see, deep focus happens even if you don't intend to do. That is why we spoke about shallow work and deep work. So in the deep work model, there is a great difference given for a deep work and shallow work. We're all filled with shallow work. Shallow work is something that you can do it even when you're distracted. Like you put on your phones and then you can cook, because those things are already on autopilot in you. It's like how you take your car, you don't have to focus deeply on it, because you already, your muscle power is already inside, and then you know the routes which are familiar to you. So what happens is the brain is getting drained off. You're not using your brain. The creativity is not kicking in. The alertness is not there. Of course, you're alert when you're driving, but then the different level of focus is not there. And that's why it becomes a shallow work. Because of all these shallow works every day, it piles up, and then it makes you a personality where there's no creativity in us at all. If the child comes and asks something new, which is maybe the answer is still within us. We must have read somewhere in our childhood, or we must have heard this somewhere, but it is not coming out. You know why? Because we're not practicing our brain that deep focus. We're not giving the brain enough creativity. That's why they always say, don't take the familiar route. If you're coming to work by car, take different routes on each day. So that, at least that's a simple way to keep your brain active and aware. So similarly, we also discussed about different models, philosophies available, and we saw what philosophy that you can take and apply in your current role. You could see the entire journey of these calls, right? My coaching model, entire model is how I became a mom to a mompreneur. If I am not a super mom, right? We're all super moms already, but then super mom, for you to become something where you can, build some bigger sense out of you, like either you want to contribute to your family through money, or get them a lot of quality time, for which you need to be managing your time, yourself, your emotions really well, or you're building something really valuable that everybody around you is getting benefited. We may not be able to look that unless and until you have your goals and vision in place. What we are only doing is, at least we will make sure the role that we are playing it effectively. And that is the first step that we can take from being a normal mom to becoming a super mom. Is it necessary to become a super mom? That's up to you. That's based on your choice and goals that you have in your life. But if you have a bigger goals, then you will naturally want to be a super mom, right? For you to be not just being self-effective, not to have, suppose you're happy by yourself because you're able to be productive, you're cost effective, you're time effective, and your quality of work, whatever you do, there is a quality that people can, see through, then obviously you're respecting family members, your kids, you're acting like a role model for them. You're already an inspiration for people around you. Then definitely you would want to, that's what human beings are. We always want to upgrade ourselves. What next? That's when you will start looking at the bigger goals. But I must say, have the bigger goals first. That is a hack. If you have the right goals now, then you will be able to, the hack is to have a bigger goal so that you will see that it is all essential. Whatever I spoke is all ingredients that, essential elements for you to start moving in that direction. And that is why I have categorized as awareness, skill, and direction. We can work, imagine that as a circle. Awareness, skills, and direction, or direction. And so you need to build the right kind of awareness. And for you to, just not have a goal, dream in you, and then have pure intention. Okay, I'm supposed to do this. I know this model. I have a dream and all that. Then it becomes only mental speculation, unless you have the right skills for you to apply on it so that you will reach your destination. So it's like a cycle. Wherever you're lost, that's what EQ, all about. EQ says self-awareness, self-management, and self-direction. In essential, awareness, skills, and direction. Wherever you're lost, suppose you're already talented. So, one mom I was talking yesterday, she has a lot of talent. She's a computer engineer, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm learning Kathak. Great, Kathak is a passion. Kathak is unique passion. She takes an effort to go somewhere, huge distance to cover all that. It takes a lot of, it is a bomb for you to learn now when it comes to arts and, especially dances like this. And then she takes an effort. But what I know is she's so easy with baking. She used to post pictures in our groups. And then I asked her, so what happens to the baking? So are you still doing it? And she said, oh yeah, sometimes I do. But then I kind of finish it quickly. I said, yeah, that's exactly what your talent is. So something which comes easily to you as a talent, you should be able to monetize it. That is the, sweet spot that you can always see where you have the talent, you have the necessary resources, you should be able to monetize. That's where the passion becomes your profession. A lot of people don't see that. A lot of people fizzle out saying, oh, okay, that's anyway coming. Let's do something hard. The more harsh you become, the more you lose the, eyesight of your own reality. And then you get to spend for those things which is not reachable for you, which is not useful for you, which is not relevant for you. Why? Because you lack the direction. You lack goals. You lack the clarity of where you want to go. The destination is not there. That's the reason that, it goes cycle. Everything is what we discuss here is important. Now, the last week we saw, we're going to quickly recap because of the time crunch. We had some technical difficulty. What we will see is, last week we saw the roles to play, right? How to embrace boredom, how to work deeply. We fixed the schedule, the ritual for you. We explained the deep work ritual. How do you maintain a ritual? The deep work focus itself as a ritual, so it becomes a habit, habitual in you. And then how do you have to quit social media, and what are the effects of it, that it is not allowing you to have a deep focus? And then we also saw certain hacks. We started discussing the hacks and as an approach. We saw until packing party. That's where the minimalism topic came in, and then we discussed about interruptions. Today we will see another approach where you can build that deep work model in your lifestyle. Saying yes to the wildly important. I think it's so relevant to just what we spoke, that your bigger why. You should be clear in knowing where you're heading. You should know your destination. When there is no destination given, even the Google map is not going to give you the results. It's going to take you somewhere. So it is important that you know, and you're saying yes to that wild why. Okay, when we say wild, there's a term called, in personal development, there's a term called BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. That is like, it's the biggest elephant in the room that you cannot deny to see that. It is always there in you. It is always there around you. And you have to keep working on it. If you touch the core values in you, if you are aligned with core values, you will definitely see the elephant in the room. But somebody who is not aware of their core values, they're not aligned, they will not see the elephant. They will hit themselves everywhere and come back. So the ability for you to say yes to the why is important. And it takes a lot easier to say no to distractions for those people who know their bigger why. So when you have a real big yes that you're pursuing, it becomes easy for you to eliminate the distractions. First of all, you know exactly these are not working for you. A lot of people do not know what is working and what is not working. But when there is a bigger why in them, when they know exactly their bigger why, it becomes very clear for them what is relevant and what is not. That doesn't mean you go harsh on anybody. No, that is going to give you another residue. All you have to do is inside you, you should clearly know, you should draw a border as to this is what it is. If I go beyond this, it's not going to help me. But that doesn't mean I'm going to say, no, you are not coming inside my boundary. So I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going to do this because it's not important. No. Or people, simply do cutting off conversations. They think that is the way that they can show that they are busy. We already discussed in the beginning, being busy is a myth. break that in you. Just by showing that you're busy is not being productive, first of all. It is not, maybe it is taking you to the journey, but I must tell you, the more EQ concept we will discuss, you will see the residue of it. All the other emotions, both in you and others around you, which is definitely going to impact your productivity level later on. That is why we started off with this series. Step by step, we are going. What's your wildly important goal? That is something that you need to know. For you to do, for you to say yes to all this and no to all the other stuffs, you should know. And what is the, subject that arouses a terrifying longing in your heart? These are some words that I picked up so that it will give you that kind of a help to jot down what is that. Suppose you're like longing to talk about. So think about those things which you're interested to talk even for a longer hours. See, for example, for me, teaching about all these things, because it was useful for me. And what was useful for me, I would be able to talk to anybody for long hours. And what was missing in me, I want to learn, I would be able to listen to somebody who already has it for a long time. So you see, but for that, you need to have that right kind of awareness. Okay. Now, recognizing your limited willpower. I must tell you, this is a very, very important point. In other words, what I will tell you is your environment, write it down somewhere. Your environment is bigger than your willpower. This is the recent learning. Although I know this theory, but I can see through it. I truly believe in this, and I've been filtering out a lot of things in my life, whether it is people or situations, or it is social media, any kind of distractions, any friends associations, even books that I want to read. Just like that, don't read any books that comes across, or just like that, I don't watch any movies that comes across. I look for certain things that kinds of align me to my values and my goals. I know it's kind of little overwhelming or little unusual for people, but then I already told you it will be boring, not just for yourself, it will be for others also. My husband always says, no, it's boring. Don't keep talking about EQ all the time, or don't keep talking about the productivity model all the time. It is boring. But for me, it is more interesting. Although I know that I should stop, I should know when to stop. Although I'm able to say a yes to my bigger why, but I should also be able to say no and stop when I have to stop. That is called external awareness. So we are essentially talking about a competency in EQ called recognizing patterns with internal awareness and external awareness. Internal awareness is all these things we have spoken about yourself. You should be aware of it. And those patterns that people are exhibiting to you, suppose they are bored, maybe you're attending any calls and you're like scratching your head, the other person should be able to know. Right now, I'm not able to see you because luckily you guys are off the camera. But then if there is something which is happening, that is an external awareness for me to be aware. It's the same case with your relationship or anybody that you want to talk. We will talk about this in detail, okay? But then how is it going to help you in productivity? In terms of both saying yes and no. You should know when to say yes and when to stop. That's the precise hack that I can tell you. So your environment is coming back to the environment. How it is because I say, it's a simple exercise. A notification come onto your phone. It's an environment influences. So what are the, list down the environmental factor that we can think about. One is, of course, your social media, your phone. Another one is family. But you got to make it right and live with them. That you cannot escape. But then you can still make a conducive environment where you can prepare them well. If there is a call, that you can always communicate with them so that they don't distract you. What about watching TV, Netflix series? What about any situation, any events comes that this is a common trend that I'm seeing, that people have this FOMO, fear of missing out, anything and everything around them, that they want to be part of all parties. The person will end up in nowhere. Productivity will not happen in them. The more their energy is spilled out in many things, they are being controlled by the environment. Environment means people, situation, events, emotions, not just theirs, it's also from their others. All these factors could ruin their brain power at all, could ruin their well-being. So it is important that you need to be aware of your environment for this space. So when we are talking about decluttering, it's a whole big topic about decluttering in every dimensions of life. There we will also talk detail about environmental space decluttering. But for now here, this is the first element of deep work that Cal Newport have written. That means you won't have the mental discipline to stay concentrated on a single task unless you prepare your mind and environment to it. That's exactly what I said. You may want to refer what I just mentioned, that when you have a work, that when you're clear that remember the monastic model that we were discussing. Suppose that's the first best model for you to have a deep work designed for your day. When you are getting into that model, that means you're getting ready for focusing deeply. You're preparing yourself and you're also telling your people around you. Okay. The key to develop the deep work habit is to go beyond good intentions. You remember I said, if you want to recollect, we were talking about bigger goals, unless you have a dream, which is good, you have a destination in your mind, and you have a good intention, and you know exactly what you like, dislike, passions, what is the other people's, awareness, patterns, and everything. It's totally fine. You're creating a good intention to help and contribute to your family. But then unless it is applied like deep work or, time management skills, or the other skills which we are going to discuss about mental discipline and all that, it's not going to get you the right results. It will only be a mental speculation. You can keep on talking about it. Talking and doing is not going to help you, right? So it has to go beyond good intentions and add routines and ritual to your working life, designed to minimize the amount of your limited willpower necessary to help you transition into a state where your unbroken concentration, that is undivided attention. When you inculcate this habit, when I'm going to be talking to you about the relationship, series, right? I will introduce to a book called 5 Languages. I'll tell you one, language that is important between any relationship, whether it's kid or spouse or within your own self, right? Undivided attention. That is so relevant for the productivity as well. Productivity, not necessarily in terms of, we spoke a lot of output about productivity, outcome about productivity. You will also see productivity is not just to ensure that task is over. It is also about building quality relationship, making meaningful connections. How productive were you when you're able to talk and convey in your communication? How productive were you in striking a deal? How good are you in negotiating with your customer, in communicating what you want? Every day the sales is happening, selling is happening in us. Every day we sell our ideas, opinions to our family. We sell our ideas, opinions to our friends around us, parents, and we sell our products and business to our customers. So all these things are going to be outcome of you being productive. So anything and everything we are discussing here, it is all going to be relevant unless you want to try this out. You will not find this relevancy. You will not be able to feel the importance of attending these calls unless you want to apply and see the experience for yourself. Okay, so have this commitment in you that you will take away at least 2 or 3 and apply for it. Come back in the next episode and share with me what has happened, and I'll be also more than happy to share with me what worked really well for me, because that's going to stay in my mind. I will be able to apply that in every other transactions of my life, because once learned, it's always inside. Okay, now what are the skills that is generally needed in this new economy, and why are we discussing under this deep work? Because the Cal Newport, the author of this book called Cal Newport, had made an extensive research before writing this book. He had interviewed a lot of successful people, looked at their patterns, how are they able to be successful, what helped them, what did not help them, all that has been taken across. And what he has seen as a pattern is there is something called mastering skills. And who are those people? What did they actually do? The core abilities of those people who thrive in this new economy, that is, we are already in the future, okay? The 21st century skills are already, have to be in place for you to, display that either in your parenting or in your normal life or in your finances, in your work, when you're working as a team at your office or an entrepreneur, even when you're talking in your neighborhood, anything and everything you do, 21st century skills are very much needed for both adults and kids. So what are those skills for you to thrive in a new economy is the ability to quickly master new things. You see how important it is to learn new things first. Unless you have the right kind of awareness, you will not know the importance of what is needed in the new economy. Now that you have already known, you cannot unsee and undo, except that you have to work on it to master. That is why I constantly keep repeating. I know it could be boring, but then it is very important for me to reinstate that you have to constantly work on yourself, which means what you learn every day, you need to apply it to see the desired results, right? Only then you can quickly master. That is when actual productivity kicks in. When you master in something, you're really productive in it. The ability to produce an elite level term in both quality and speed. Speed is the next currency, or I'm saying speed is the currency for now. Time is the currency more than money. That's what we started off. When we are talking about time management skills, we discussed that money is not a new thing. Money is not something which is exciting for especially moms like us. My husband always like, what do I want? What do you want as a gift? I said, buying something is not giving me an excitement as much as you giving me enough time for my own self or for my own passions and ambitions, or me spending good quality time with you guys is what making me happy. That is the scale of measurement that we all have. Most moms will have, right? So the choices that we are making is also, see, for example, even if you want to make any plan, you will always see, okay, well, is my first child satisfied? Will my second child also be part of it? Will he or she enjoy? What about my spouse? Will he enjoy? And what about me? If I see them enjoying, great. If I choose a movie, is my daughter smiling and laughing? Is my husband, enjoying the movie? And that means it's a good thing, because even though despite of traveling a lot, spending money on it. We might as well want to watch it in OTT. Why would we go take an effort to, go to the theater, block it, and then, spend time there? So it all makes sense for me to be more effective in time, speed, in time, money, and resources. For me to be effective in time, speed is the way that shows that I'm going to be effective. For all these abilities, you have to have a deep work. Okay. Anything you do right now, maybe you're working on something at your office, or you're venturing out something new, find out if you can get that speed of implementation. I must tell you, I've hit my deep bottom where I burnt myself out, longing that I don't have enough time so that I can, fastly implement this. When I see my friends outgrowing me, when I'm talking about my business community outgrowing me, earning money or achieving their results, achieving their goals, I used to feel, okay, being a mom, how can I do that? Because it's obstructing me, it's stopping me from various things. When I want to do work, my child calls in, or something comes up in the family, or I have to travel down to India. And I'm telling you, taking a break loses your momentum, and for you to ability to come back to your momentum, it's a great uphill task, especially at this times of era that we are in. So it's very important to have that speed also in you if you want to achieve your results fast. So the hacks that we can discuss is, we want the deep life. You need to constantly fight distractions, push yourself, your concentration to the limits, that you are spending less time on social media, less time on the internet. Plan your days, even your leisure time, in advance. This was something, I am habitual to it. Even when there is a weekend or a break time that I take, I plan it. But then one of my friend usually casually asked, I can't be so very, minute and meticulous like you. It kind of puts me off. I lose my creativity. Yes and no. Okay. People like us, I don't know what kind of journey. We don't want to discuss the journey of that mom. My journey is different. My lifestyle is different. If I don't plan something, it's not going to set me clarity about what I have to do the rest of the day. I generally take breaks to wind off. That is a different thing. That is something that I'm telling myself, oh, you know what? For the next one day, I don't have anything else to, just to chill out. That is giving me a boost to my brain. But if I don't have the necessity, the timeline as to when I'm supposed to go back to my work, it is actually putting me off the pedal. I've seen a lot of time that I go off the pedal, off the radar, and then find my own time to come back. By the time the momentum is already gone. So I could realize that mom's role is different. That mom's goals are different. That mom lifestyle is different. So I will not be able to compete or compare myself with them. Neither I want to believe what they want to compare and tell me. It's okay. Just hear them out. Don't be harsh with them. And you don't have to take that seriously. But what you have to do is, you should know what suits you better, your work style better, your family goals better. So for me, planning out my leisure time also works really well for me. Unconsciously, I was trying to be productive. But now that I know it is already existing in the world, it is giving me a stronger validation. So the deep life is not for everybody. That's exactly what, my experience says. It is definitely not for everybody. I'm not here to get angry. You know what? I cannot curse them saying, you know what, you guys, you will find your way. You will know the importance of it. You will figure out, you will lose your time, energy, and all that. Instead, I must say thank you for that input. Maybe I would check whether I'm going overboard. That's all it is in emotional quotient. You have to see whether your patterns, your emotions, your feeling, your attachment and detachment is not going overboard. You always have to go, come in between. For you to come in between, all these inputs are important. All these, free critics important. Why would you go spend, money to get a coach? You just be open to your family, your kids. Kids could be the best critic for you, your friends, and then decide what is important for you. So go back to the, importance of your goals and being productive. That is the reason, that's the only stepping stone for you to come back to your momentum to become productive. Okay. So it is much easier to waste away time on social media. It is much easier to occupy yourself with shallow tasks. Much easier to give in your temptation whenever they arise. That is called shallow task. But doing the opposite is difficult. And that is why it is not for everybody. Identify the deep work. We spoke about it earlier in the episode, that you need to know your bigger why. And then you need to know the, urgent matters, important matters, and urgent and important, or urgent and not important. Categorize accordingly. And then you will figure out which work needs your deep focus. And then fix a stipulated time. Go back to your rituals. Fix a routine. And then you're setting up your mind and your environment. Then it is easy for you to be in that mood. Identify the philosophy, the model that we discussed. Which philosophy works well for you? Is it rhythmic or journalistic, monastic, or we spoke about bi-diverse model. That is something that we need to look at it, right? Now, after you know the importance of deep life, You also need to create a ritual, which we already discussed. Now, the next one is develop deep thinking by practicing productive meditation. For the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 important hacks, which is totally new for me. I'm sure it is new for you also. I want to know from your comments if you had enjoyed learning the new ones, and which are those two you would like to take it and practice. The first one is developing the productive meditation. Identify daily activities in which you are physically occupied and mentally available. Okay. For example, exercises. When I say mentally available, instead of putting the headphones during your walk, just be available for the nature, contemplate with nature. So thereby you're doing physical, exercises. At the same time, you're also occupying your mind onto something which is not again on your social media or the distractions that we discussed. Instead, you're concentrating on nature and looking at something which is very new for you. Or it could be the familiar things, but you still want to look at deep aspects to it. Okay. That itself is becoming a meditation for you. Walking, jogging, showering, brushing teeth, cleaning your home. All these things need both physical and alertness. Mental attention is nothing but alertness, awareness, focus. While engaging in such activities, focus your attention on a specific problem you want to solve. When you're doing something, how many of you here have this habit of experiences that when you're taking bath, a lot of new ideas pop in? For some people, when they're taking walk, their neurons are so, because you sweat, right? Yeah, Pooja, I appreciate that. So even during walk, a lot of new ideas pump in, because the whole body is getting, the blood is circulated so very fast, the whole body is getting worked out, you sweat a lot, new cells are formed, the old ones are degenerated. A lot of things happens biologically, physically, mentally as well. So you're hitting new neurons, right? In all these exercises, it becomes like a meditation itself. And then if you have one particular problem, there are many times during my bath, I had generation of, bursting of new ideas for one particular problem. Even for walking, during sometimes when I'm just not, when I'm off with headphones, I'm just walking deeply, maybe focusing on my breath or not. Sometimes also something will come up. Somewhere I kind of hear my own voice telling some ideas. Okay. How is it all happening? It's all there in the space, right? Ether, energy. All you're doing is you're just tapping the genius. It happens like a meditative process. So, benefits of you being, in the area of productive meditation is your ability to contemplate and work through your top challenges. When you're walking and just looking at some tree or something, or looking at a family, playing, or looking at something which you may want to feel, oh, well, I like this pattern. Why am I not able to apply this? And what happens if I apply this? Suddenly something happens, some shift happens in you, right? Helps you directing and focusing your attention to that, problem. Trains you to ignore your distractions. But I must tell you, it's an uphill task for you to be off distracted, but you must be habitual to physically, first of all, get rid of distractions. You should not be doing multiple tasking. That at least you can commit yourself. At least don't wear your headphones when you're doing some, things like this. Especially when you want to wind off, do not have an additional task. Have an undivided attention to one thing that you're doing. That itself is a meditation. Okay? Practice leads to develop deep thinking abilities. Then mastering hard things. This is also another, I must say, this is a very core skill for those people who have been achieving greater results that they have to do. I think we will be doing a review summary of Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, somewhere I think in the discipline area or somewhere. I'll inject that. There you will see how you will be able to complete the hardest task first in the beginning itself, so that the rest of the things you can casually handle. But it may not be, practically speaking, it may not work for every day, every time. But if you have the habit, then it becomes, your productivity increases to an extent. There could also be other way to look at it where, depending on the role that you're playing, you may not have that time in the initial part of the morning. It's always catering to family needs, food and all that. By the time you come, the circadian rhythm also, we spoke in the previous episodes that your peak focus, biologically, your peak focus time could be different. So you may want to do the hard things in that period of time instead of doing during the fag end of the day where you're physically tired, mentally tired. So there are a lot of strategies that you can think through and work on it. But the principle behind is mastering the hard things is the principle behind you to be, really productive. Focusing intensely without distraction. So that's the first thing that you have to do when you want to do harder things. Tackle relevant topics systematically, for which you need to know, is this topic important, urgent? Is it relevant? Focus on developing your high-level skills. and you will be more valuable. Being a superstar, climbing at the top by becoming the best in your field. Okay, this is not by intention. This is by implementation. This is how you can master hard things, or the other way, if you master the hard things, you can become a superstar, or you will be the top influencer in your niche in the entire world. Work your way up to being an owner. Take that ownership. Responsibilities, discipline comes if you have that ownership in you. You take the absolute ownership for your children, right? It comes naturally. When they are born, you take that ownership. Similarly, you apply the same energy and intentions to anything and everything that you want to do. Owners are the most valuable people out there, right? Industry wise, if you own something, if you have an IP, you're the richest person already. Your passive income is so good that you're already rich. You have a lot of savings. There's no retirement, plans at all. Immerse yourself in your work to master hard things quickly. Intelligent machines are complicated, hard to master and change rapidly. Therefore, the process of mastering hard things never ends. You must be able to do it quickly again and again. See, intelligent machines, we are talking about AI taking over everything, right? Especially the content generation, the creation, digital creator industry or software industry is going for a toss because AI has introduced a lot of tools which is going to replace a lot of people at jobs. I must warn you and tell you, if you're not already knowing, by 2025 and 2030, you will see millions of jobs going redundant. So it is very important, if you're building career in any of those, you should know what is working well in the industry and what is not. Simultaneously, you will have to build all these skills, which is going to help you become master and then be able to change rapidly along with the environment around you. Now, last two will be product at an elite level. Enforce strict isolation until a particular task is isolated. We're talking about how we can give you some hacks. We can use some hacks for us to enable the deep work in our general life, which includes both personal and professional. You're going to consolidate work into intense, uninterrupted batching. Okay. Remember the model, monastic, journalistic, and all that. You apply that, work in batches based on your peak focus hours biologically, and also by role, whichever is convenient for you, and then maximize performance of that one task. When it's, I tried this out, I switched on to monastic task. I concentrated only on one task. For the next 3 days, I did not do any other task. But even in those days, I had to batch my entire day. So the time when I'm, active, brisk, physically, mentally, I did that monastic model. Uninterrupted, environment was created, no distractions at all. I was able to complete 70% of what I was not able to do. So try this out. High quality work produced equals time spent into the intensity of focus. So when you multiply this is when you're getting the high quality product. The time that you're spending on a particular activity, that has to be effective. It cannot take forever. That is why we have a stipulated time. Always, even an organization, you get compared, based on the time, first of all. Whoever comes first. That's always, the rule of any games from our childhood, right? Why? Whoever comes first is the one. The speed. Second thing is, suppose the person has come first, but they have not done the quality work. They go beyond. They go behind the line. Whoever has come the second first, but they're also able to complete their work quality, then they are, labeled. Doesn't matter who comes first, but then it has to attach the quality of work. How can the person get quality of work is the intensity of focus level they have. You see how deeply all these are connected. If you don't have the intense deep focus, you may not be able to create that kind of wow product. You may want to try this out. Even when you're talking to your child, just have undivided attention. Pay close attention to what their face gestures. Stay close with them and listen to them carefully. Respond to them in a way that, it is appropriate. You will see how beautifully you have built that connection. The trust is immediately formed. And so is the other productivity areas. More intensity of focus, less time spent is the formula. You may want to write it down somewhere. More intensity of focus and less time spent. This should be a mantra for productivity. Attention residue, I think it's something that this is a new topic for me also. It was very exciting when I read this because it is so relevant to emotional residue as well. I'll tell you how. When you switch from task A to task B, your attention doesn't immediately follow. Generally, that's what we are doing with multiple tasks. The shallow work happens that way because we don't generally have to do our, use our brain power generally for any of the shallow works. That is why there's no creativity, there is no monetary effect, there is no quality effect in it. But when you're doing a deep focus, it is not possible for you to navigate, okay? Physically, mentally, emotionally. Especially when you're focusing, more of your mental, emotional structure is aligned. So immediately when you have to transfer, when you have to navigate, it is not possible unless and until you're preparing your physicality, mentality, and your that when I say mentality, meaning status of mind and your feelings towards it. Maybe you're too attached to something or you're too detached to something. You have to find that balance. If you're able to be neutral, you can flexibly say, okay, I'm working on it. Now my child calls. When my daughter calls, I must cater to it because she's very small and it could be something urgent also. Then I'm able to navigate. Suppose I don't find that importance to it, or something happens that every time I've been distracted, you see how much of our balance goes out of the radar. We stay imbalanced most of the time, both status in the mind and emotional also. That is the reason of we being feeling exhausted. Why a person is feeling exhausted or tired when they want to do something they like to do. Usually it doesn't happen. But if whether we like to do or not, we still feel exhausted is something that you need to find out. What is making you feel burnout? What is making you feel, not wanting to do what you want to do? Fatigueness and all that thing comes in because the residue that we are leaving. We want to do something, but we are getting distracted and there is a momentum break. And thereby we are leaving the residue. To avoid this, it is important to know what is attention residue also. All we spoke about physicality, mentality, emotional level has a deeper aspect to the residue, what you are leaving at the table. It is going to, if your emotional residue is left, it is only going to pile up and it will be showcased to other people. If you're not able to showcase to others, then it will only pile up and showcase expressed as a health disease. There is an article that I can forward it to you. You can ping me if you want. There's something called Louise Hay. She has written about how emotional residues affects the disease in us, how it is expressed as disease in us. For example, if it's a headache, there is some deeper emotion to it. If it is something related to your heart disease, find out what emotions there is left out. I had a knee pain. I went to rheumatologist. I had no clue, but I felt so vulnerable, humiliated because both the knees gave up onto me. It was very new for me when I came down here. In 3 months' time, I had this effect. Doctor said it could be the lack of vitamin D, which is a very common thing. That's the only thing people found out. Otherwise, if my pain is rising up, I'm supposed to go for a steroids. I said strictly no for steroids. None of my MRI or any of the X-rays showed any other effect other than the inflammation. So I had to go down and I had to go deep down and research what's happening with me. When I'm not able to stand and do my job, I was not able to cook for a longer time, and even for a normal cooking, I'm not able to stand for a good enough time to cook or do something for me. Even when I have to talk to somebody, when I go and pick up my child, I see my friends, I was not able to stand and talk to them for a while. I always find a place to sit down. I must tell you, this was happening for 2 years, every day, excruciating pain. Me being brought up in 80s, I was telling myself, this will pass on, this will pass on. But then having been learned and certified in emotional quotient and personal development, I've taken a lot of certification in personal development. I kept on speculating what this could be meaning to me, suggesting to me deep inside. That's when I went and researched, and then this article came into my sight. I saw that when there is something happening around the knees, that means a person is feeling stuck. They want to do something, but they are stuck for various reasons. That's exactly what's true with me. Just in 3 or 4 months after I landed here, I got this pain because back in India, I used to be independent. I used to drive wherever I want to. I can go and get, everything was instantly accessible. But for here, I was totally over dependent on my husband. So everything aligned. It makes a lot of sense to me that I have to look at my own self. Instead of, thankfully, I did not go for steroids or injections or even operations. I ended up taking a lot of good nutrition, going for a good walk consistently. I even walk today. Every day I walk for 20 minutes. And I went for some good exercises. And then I concentrated on what's happening emotionally. That is when I went deeper into emotional aspects, emotional well-being. Okay. Now, for you to have that, not have that attention residue or emotional residue, it is important that you need to, thank you, Pooja, for that. It is important for you to acknowledge that aspect to it. And after that, clarity about what matters provides clarity about what does not. This is so very, I really like this. That is why I jotted these points, which made really a good sense to me. Clarity about what matters is going to give you a clarity about what doesn't matter. That is again going back to the goals, directions that you have. And it is important to be clear on what you need and what you do not need. Then it is important, and then it becomes easy for you to eliminate the distraction, and you will not have the attention residue. Even if my child or my spouse or anybody calls or any distraction happens, I come back because I'm clear in my why. I'm clear in what doesn't work well for me, and I'm clear in what works well for me. I'm aligned right now. That there were those times where I had a burnout. I had not just once, twice. In the span of 6 years, I had twice burnout. Being in the burnout is not fun, guys. I must pray that I must ensure people around me don't get into the burnout, whether it's women or men or kid or adult. they shouldn't go to the burnout stage at all. It's not fun at all. You reversing that, it's taking a time. It's taking a toll, emotionally, physically, mentally, right? So you need to know these concepts so that you can protect yourself, so you can contribute for your own self and for your family. That's the immediate goal for a mom, right? And only then you can become a super mom. I'm sure all these concepts that we discussed had helped you better. And I must want to ask you if there is any one or two takeaways that any new learnings that you have taken from this session. I would definitely want you to go back, reflect on it, and apply that, and let me know your experience. After this call, go back to the group and tell them what you learned, and be that spark and inspiration for the group as well. I'll see you in the next weekend with a new topic. Bye-bye.